Same house, two different rental strategies. The income difference can be $30,000 per year, but the math isn't always in favor of Airbnb. Here's when each strategy wins and when it destroys returns. Short-term rental versus long-term rental is one of the most debated questions in real estate investing. The Airbnb success stories are real. A coastal property generating $80,000 per year in gross revenue on a $400,000 purchase price sounds extraordinary, and sometimes it is. But so are the Airbnb horror stories. $12,000 in damage, 40% vacancy during off-season, 3 management companies in 3 years, and a net income that barely beats a basic long-term tenant. The truth is that the better strategy depends entirely on the property type, location, management infrastructure, and the investor's time tolerance. Today we run the actual math across 10 popular markets, comparing gross revenue, operating costs, vacancy risk, time intensity, and regulatory exposure to show you exactly when each strategy wins and when it destroys value. Let's start with how short-term rental economics actually work. Take a $500,000 beach property in Destin, Florida. Peak season runs from May through September. Average daily rate in peak, $350. Average daily rate in shoulder, $180. Average daily rate off-peak, $100. With 70% occupancy in peak season, 50% in shoulder, and 30% in off-peak, your gross annual revenue lands at approximately $68,000 to $74,000. Sounds excellent. Now subtract operating costs. Property management at 25 to 30% of revenue, $18,000 to $22,000. Platform fees at 3%, $2,100. Cleaning after every stay, averaging 2.5 cleanings per week in peak, $150 each, $8,000 annually. Maintenance and supplies, 8 to 10% of revenue, or $6,000 to $7,000. Insurance premium above standard rental, $2,000 to $4,000. Property tax, $4,500. Total operating expenses, $40,000 to $45,000. Net operating income, $25,000 to $30,000. On a $500,000 property, that's a 5 to 6% cap rate before mortgage financing. Now the same property as a long-term rental. In Destin, a comparable 3-bedroom home rents for $2,200 to $2,600 per month in the long-term market. Annual gross rent, $26,400 to $31,200. Operating costs are dramatically different. Property management at 8 to 10%, $2,400 to $3,000. Maintenance, 5 to 8% of rent, or $1,500 to $2,500. Insurance, $1,800. Property tax, $4,500. Vacancy allowance at 5%, $1,500. Total expenses, $11,700 to $13,300. Net operating income, $16,000 to $19,000. On a $500,000 property, that's a 3.2 to 3.8% cap rate. Lower than the STR outcome, but far more predictable, far less management intensive, and with none of the regulatory risk. The STR advantage in Destin, approximately $8,000 to $12,000 in annual NOI, requiring 15 to 20 additional hours per month in active management attention. Let's compare both strategies across 10 popular markets. In Destin, Florida, STR wins. Gross yield advantage is real, tourism demand is consistent year-round, and regulations remain STR-friendly. In Gatlinburg, Tennessee, STR dominates. Gross revenue of $55,000 to $80,000 on $350,000 cabins, driven by near-zero off-season with Smoky Mountains year-round demand. Regulations are permissive. In Nashville, STR is under pressure. City has enacted permit caps and specific zoning restrictions that make new STR permits difficult to obtain. In Scottsdale, Arizona, STR still works in prime zones, but suburban saturation is compressing yields. Average daily rates have fallen 15% from 2021 peak. In New York City, STR is effectively banned. Local Law 18 requires host presence, limiting legal STR to owner-occupied properties. Long-term rental wins by default. In Austin, Texas, STR is viable but oversupplied. 2022 to 2024 saw massive STR inventory growth outpacing demand. Occupancy rates have fallen to 55 to 62%. In Miami Beach, regulations have tightened significantly. Only certain zoning districts allow STR. The restricted supply supports strong ADRs for compliant properties. When does long-term rental clearly win? First, markets with active STR regulation or outright bans. NYC, San Francisco, Amsterdam, and Barcelona have all implemented restrictions that make STR economically unviable for most investors. Buying into these markets for STR returns is investing against the regulatory trend. Second, when management infrastructure is weak or unavailable. STR depends heavily on professional management, responsive maintenance, and reliable cleaning operations. In secondary markets without mature STR ecosystems, management quality degrades and costs rise. Third, when your personal time tolerance is low. Even with a management company, STR requires more active owner oversight than LTR. Guest issues, property damage disputes, review management, and platform optimization are ongoing. Fourth, when financing stability matters. Lenders increasingly scrutinize STR income as qualifying income. LTR leases are simpler to underwrite. Fifth, when you're buying in a non-tourist location. A 3-bed property in suburban Cincinnati works fine as a long-term rental. It will produce minimal STR revenue regardless of management quality. When does short-term rental clearly win? First, in true destination markets with year-round or near year-round demand. Smoky Mountains, Outer Banks, Florida Gulf Coast, and Scottsdale resort zones all produce gross revenue 60 to 120% above equivalent LTR. Second, when the property has amenities that command premium STR rates, pool, hot tub, waterfront, proximity to a ski resort or national park. These features matter far more in STR than LTR. Third, in permissive regulatory environments. States like Tennessee have preempted local STR bans at the state level, creating regulatory certainty that institutional STR investors value. Fourth, when you can self-manage or have a trusted local manager. The 25 to 30% management fee is the single biggest cost driver in STR. Operators who self-manage, or who find operators charging 15 to 20%, dramatically improve the STR economics. Fifth, during periods of peak market demand when LTR supply is low and STR pricing power is high. This was 2021 to 2022. Conditions have normalized since. A growing number of investors use a hybrid strategy, particularly in markets where seasonal demand is strong but off-season demand is weak. The model: run the property as an STR during peak season and convert to a medium-term rental, 30 to 90 days, during off-peak months to avoid Airbnb platform fees and capture stable income from traveling nurses, remote workers, or corporate relocation tenants. Medium-term rental platforms like Furnished Finder and Airbnb's monthly discount structure make this increasingly viable. In practice, a Smoky Mountains property might run STR from April to November and MTR from December to March, capturing the best of both models while reducing off-season vacancy risk. The risk: MTR tenants get tenant rights in most jurisdictions after 30 days, creating eviction exposure if they don't leave at lease end. The 5 metrics that determine which strategy wins for your property. Number 1. Annual STR gross revenue divided by annual LTR gross rent. If the ratio is less than 1.8x, the STR advantage after additional costs often disappears. You need at least 1.8 to 2x LTR gross to justify STR complexity. Number 2. Management fee structure. STR at 25 to 30% versus LTR at 8 to 10%. A 17 to 20% cost differential that must be overcome by revenue. Number 3. Occupancy rate in off-peak months. Properties averaging below 40% occupancy year-round rarely outperform LTR on NOI. Number 4. Regulatory stability. Assess not just current law, but the political trajectory. Markets moving toward STR restriction are high-risk holds. Number 5. Your net time investment. Price your time at $50 per hour. STR at 20 extra hours per month costs you $12,000 in shadow labor annually. Factor this into your NOI comparison. The verdict: short-term rental is a business. Long-term rental is an investment. Both can produce excellent returns, but they require different skills, tolerances, and market conditions. If you're buying in a Tier 1 STR destination, Gatlinburg, Destin, Scottsdale Resort Zone, and you have access to quality management at competitive rates, STR wins by $8,000 to $25,000 in annual NOI on a typical property. If you're buying in a regulated market, a non-destination location, or you lack reliable management infrastructure, or if your time is genuinely constrained, long-term rental produces more consistent, less volatile returns with half the management overhead. The worst outcome: buying a property in a STR-friendly market, setting it up for short-term rental, failing to reach the occupancy needed to cover the higher operating cost structure, and delivering below LTR net income with triple the headaches. Run the math before you choose. The numbers don't lie. Subscribe for more data-driven real estate analysis. We compare strategies, not just markets, so you invest with the full picture.